Big Apple, 3 a.m.
Kunai is an action-adventure game developed by Turtle Blaze and published by the Arcade Crew. It was released on February 6, 2020 for the Nintendo Switch and PC. In a post-apocalyptic future, the human race is all but wiped out by the robot menace brought on by Dr. Lemonkis, an AI determined to end all human life. The resistance is pushed to the brink of defeat, right up until they find their last hope, a killer ninja robot named TBY-1134, or Tabby McTabletface. Yeah, that's really his name. The story is told through cutscenes and interactions with characters scattered throughout the world, as well as enemies and bosses, and it comes off pretty lighthearted, but with a hint of gravity throughout. It's not something to write home about, but it's a nice compliment to the action. Kunai plays just like any Metroidvania you've played in the past, but with some quality of life upgrades to the standard formula. Game over screens are a thing of the past, unlike your Symphony of the Night and more like Hollow Knight, but unlike the latter, there are no penalties for dying. Backtracking remains a staple here, but with all the focus on agility and movement, it's pretty fun to swing around and dash across the map. Despite this, lack of fast travel might be a pain point for some. There is no leveling up in Kunai, but you can augment your life bar via heart pieces found across the world. 4 heart pieces grant you a full robotic heart, adding an extra segment of life. Abilities are bought at the tab store. Provided you are at a router, you can purchase upgrades for your abilities and weapons, as well as some passive abilities for Tabby. These can border on overkill and aren't really necessary, but nice to have. You begin the game with your energy-draining katana, but your quest sees you obtaining the eponymous left and right kunai, which disappointingly, you only use for traversal. On the other hand, weapons like your shuriken, submachine guns, and rocket launcher will be used to uncover new areas of the world or to bring new levels of pain to your baddies. Seeing Tabby's face change when swinging his katana or raining bullets is funny to watch, and the look of awe when Tabby opens a treasure chest is too cute not to mention. If you're a veteran of the Metroidvania genre, you won't really be overwhelmed by the challenge Kunai has to offer. Newcomers might even find an experience that is challenging yet forgiving, but pretty rewarding. Boss fights are basically a test of your reaction time, with a bit of puzzle solving thrown in. The game is rather short, about 6 to 10 hours to beat, but for its price tag, you won't hear us complaining. My one gripe in the gameplay with Kunai lies in its control scheme. The controls are sharp and Tabby strikes a fine balance of floatiness and speed, but Switch players may find some difficulty accessing the map as the minus button pulls it up, causing the console to slip while playing on handheld mode. It will behoove you to play on a Pro controller and save yourself the hand cramping. You can customize your controls in the settings, but everything else feels like it's right where it's supposed to be, and the map button just feels like an afterthought. The pixel art visuals of Kunai may have been done to death in recent years, but the color schemes are a nice nod to the Game Boy and Game Boy Color era. You can never get lost in the screen as Tabby's blue garb really stands out from the environment, and the vibrant red of the enemies' faces really compels you to attack. It feels kinda indie-ish, but it's a step above. The visual effects are coupled with crisp sounds, making each slash, shot, and boom very satisfying. All of this is brought to you at a buttery smooth and consistent 60 frames per second, which is very welcome in a game where movement and platforming are at its core. The quasi-chiptune soundtrack really sets the tone of the game, driving home that post-apocalyptic despair of the fallen city to the chill mystery of the quantum forest. Great in its own right, something to mellow you out, and definitely a soundtrack to vibe to long after you finish the game. You might look at this and say, ugh, great, another indie Metroidvania, how original. But don't rule it out just yet. Kunai is a nice quick Vania fix on the go. It doesn't take itself too seriously or try to be super edgy, unlike the apparent norm of comparable titles in the genre. Any way you slice it, Kunai is a good and charming take at an action-adventure game, and for its price point, it's an easy sell. I give Kunai a B. From all of us here at Rotten Apple Gaming, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay updated on future videos.